I expect your applause. Happy Thursday, everyone. So, while commemorating D-Day in France, Jill Biden quickly escorted the president off the stage after his speech. Take a look. Now, we have no idea why he left, and we were wondering, where did he go? Where did he have to go? Well, we were able to get the full tape. Anyway, Nancy Pelosi and other Dems are slamming the Wall Street Journal article on Biden's mental acuity, calling it a hit piece. President Biden, though, is refusing to comment because he thinks he's an avocado. The prosecution in Hunter Biden's gun trial told the judge they have 6 more witnesses to go. And here's a surprise, only 5 of them are strippers. MSNBC's Chris Matthews said it's very reasonable to assume that Trump will become a dictator if elected. I think I speak for millions of Americans when I say Chris Matthews is still alive. Texas County will pay a group of female deputies $1.5 million to settle a lawsuit claiming that they were sexually harassed by their bosses. They would have gotten more, but the judge said they weren't hot enough. I agree. That's a sexist judge. I agree. Rapper Flavor Flav recently ordered the entire menu at Red Lobster to help save the chain from bankruptcy. In restaurant circles, ordering the whole menu is what's known as pulling a Christie. I thought about doing that.
I know.
That is my dream. And finally, a recent study asked the question, do men with big guns have small genitalia? I don't know, but does this picture answer your question? All right. Let's do a monologue. I think that was a real picture, too. Everybody knows there's something wrong with Joe. And now even Dems find it freeing to admit Joe's no sentient being. According to a bombshell story in the Wall Street Journal, Joe Biden shows, quote, sign of slipping behind closed doors. Yeah, he's slipping all over the place. On stairs, off stages, in the polls. But the Journal adds Biden isn't doing any better behind the scenes as well. To say he's showing signs of wear and tear is putting it mildly. That's like saying the Sphinx is looking a little weathered. He has trouble in meetings, relying on note cards and speaking so softly that no one can hear him. Sometimes he even closes his eyes for so long, people wonder if he's sleeping. If his lids were closed any longer, they'd put pennies on his eyes. And it really slows the meeting's pace down when they keep placing a mirror under his nose to see if he's breathing. He can't remember details of his own policies, perhaps because the only policy that matters is his life insurance. The Journal spoke to 45 people who were in the room with Joe, all begging for someone to crack a window. And that includes both Republicans and Democrats. Yes, Democrats, even they can't keep pretending anymore. Best case scenario, 4 more years means 208 weekends at Bernie's. The worst case, he beats William Henry Harrison's record for fastest dirt nap after inauguration. Now, several Dem lawmakers have called the Journal back at the White House's behest to say, actually, Biden's just fine. But if you're phoning to say Biden's in great health, you better hope they take the call ASAP. A lot could change while you're on hold. Now, is it news that Biden's a mess? No, we hear it every time he opens his mouth and the moths fly out. The White House doctor can pump him full of the leftovers from Hunter's stash, but they can't make him younger. 25 years ago, he was a plagiarist. Now he can't summarize the plot to See Spot Run. But why put the story out now? Well, the piece was timed for this moment. It offered the green light to Wall Street, donors, billionaires, bosses, and normies who normally wouldn't say they'd vote Trump, but to do so now. They're saying, wink, wink, you could admit Joe stinks. It tells them they don't need to vote for Joe or make excuses for him or get angry when somebody notices there's something very wrong with Biden that can't be cured with ice cream. The message is, it's not just your imagination. Grandpa really is fading fast. The only people imagining things are the ones telling you that he's fine. They don't have the old man's best interests at heart. They just cling to his power the way he's clinging to life. So this article is a permission slip you can pull out when anybody says, quote, but Trump's a convicted felon. You simply say, so? Dems and Republicans agree Biden is the bigger risk. He's not competent to be president. He's the reason for the 25th Amendment. Didn't you read the Journal piece? Case closed. If you put Trump in jail, at least he'll know where he is. Keep Joe in the Oval Office and he'll say, where am I? And why doesn't this room have corners? And again, it's not just Republicans talking, it's Democrats. 45 sources. Oddly. You know what else is numbered 45? Donald Trump. What a coincidence. It was also co-written by a Democrat. That's not a coincidence. The message, Biden is a bigger danger than Trump. So they're giving you a highway off-ramp. Sure, it's not in the best part of town, but you won't drive straight into the flaming pile up ahead. Remember in 2016 and 2020, you didn't go out of your way to say that you might vote for Trump. Hell, some went out of their way to say they wouldn't. There was too much risk, especially with the unhinged anti-Trumpers everywhere. Well, that obstacle is gone. The person who laughed at you for wearing a red hat while mowing the lawn is now wondering if he could borrow it. It goes back to that one word to say when someone bashes Trump. So, now you got the Cliff Notes. The Wall Street Journal piece boils it down. Saying Trump's your choice no longer risks your own well-being, but voting for Joe poses a greater risk to everyone's well-being. The Dems picked a candidate with a shorter shelf life than fresh deli meat. You know, I remember it was Cher who wished she could turn back time. And she's half Joe's age. So the decision is yours. A guy who can stand trial and face a sentence, or a guy who can't stand and hasn't completed a sentence in years. But now you can make that choice out loud and in November. Let's welcome tonight's guest! His arguments are like Tupperware, airtight and good with casserole. Former GOP Congressman Lee Zeldin. Women always say he's the one in police lineups. Comedian Jim Florentine. She's like a dandelion. Pretty, but you still want her off your lawn. New York Times bestselling author, Fox News contributor, Kat Tipp. And he tells thunderstorms to go around. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former NWA world champion Tyrus. So, Lee, I have a theory. I posited it on the 5 the other day. This story was designed to give the message, to wave the green flag for everybody to go, okay, Trump's better. I may not be crazy about him, but he's better. Do you feel like this was choreographed by the Democrats, perhaps?
Well, I think that there are some Democrats who would love to get Biden off of the ticket altogether. I think that there are Democrats out there who have issues that transcend blind partisan loyalty. They're concerned about the direction of this country. We saw it in the South Bronx when President Trump had the rally. And this has been going on for a long time where some people care about the country, say, well, what happens if Joe Biden had 4 more years? How much more deterioration are we going to experience? It's bad enough as it is. I mean, you point out about how he's tripping up steps, down steps, on stages. He has a White House Easter bunny who brings him across the White House lawn. He can't complete a sentence, end a quote when reading it in the teleprompter. Yeah, and putting aside the people with their theories that he's now his pants on camera, the fact that he's not even competent enough to stand trial is something that has a lot of people out there saying, you know what, I think I'd rather have a president who is competent to stand trial. And yeah, no, it's a breaking point, I think, for the country. And I think it's a good sign for President Trump's campaign.
Mm-hmm. You know, I really like the casual look Lee Zeldin. You know, it's like you really want to hear more about auto insurance. Jim, I love that their defense, the Dems in the White House, is that Biden is supposedly really cogent and smart when we can't see him. Like, oh, yeah, he trips and he falls in public, but behind closed doors, oh, he's sharp as a tack. Generally, it's always the reverse, right? I mean, it's like you're supposed to be sharp and cogent outside and then crumble when you get home.
Right, then be a mess when you get home. Like, yeah, just put up a good front. But look, they're freaking out because it's the Wall Street Journal. That's not really like a far right-wing newspaper. Yeah. If it was the New York Post, nobody would see this article. They're afraid some moderates or Democrats might read this. Mm-hmm. And they never see this because anyone that follows mainstream news thinks he still has a stutter.
Yeah.
They still go with that. I talk to my liberal friends. He's got a stutter. What's the problem? So they never see any of these videos of him faking shaking hands, stumbling, bumbling.
Yeah.
So that's why they're nervous about this and trying to, calm it down. But meanwhile, that's a good thing I'm going to use now. When I go out with my friends and I get drunk and I'm causing a scene and I'm stumbling and bumbling and falling down, I'll just go, why you give me a problem? It's just a stutter. I'm not drunk. I got a stutter.
You could sit when you're doing when you have to walk a straight line, and you go, I'm stuttering.
That's why I'm not on the line. I'm stuttering. I'm shaking a little bit.
My feet are stuttering. Kat, I even think that the White House response and the Democrats' response is choreographed, that they have to act outraged. But like Lee said, maybe they do want him out, and that's why they contributed to this article.
I just don't think that would work for any of us, speaking to the people that we work for.
Yeah.
Which obviously the government's supposed to work for us. If I were to go to the bosses and say, listen, I need a huge raise because of what I'm doing behind closed doors. Like, you...
I want one too.
Like, listen.
I'm so busy behind closed doors. You have no idea.
I know you've never seen it, but behind closed doors,
yes,
I'm a star.
Yeah. Be careful, Hunter Biden might call you.
I hope he does. I would definitely answer the phone. You think I wouldn't talk to him? You think that wouldn't advance the plot of my life to talk to Hunter Biden?
Believe me, I'm trying to get him on this show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he should come on this show.
I want him on this show.
Absolutely should come on this show. But no, again, this was supposed to be the return to normal. And you're right, Jim. Okay, today I saw those videos, the DJ videos. I couldn't speak. I thought they were disturbing. And I had a call with people. Again, many things happen behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. And I said, did you guys see this? And these people hadn't seen it, right? And I got to watch people watch these videos, and they all had their hands over them.
Yeah. What about the idea that this article was a green light? Like, we know so many people that are scared to even talk about.
I think the article... it just kind of reaffirmed what everybody sees. Is just to Kat point and to Jim's point, a lot of people don't see it. But I think what's the easiest thing with all of these crazy right-wing accusations that he's off his rocker can easily be dismissed. Simply, no problem, because they talk about behind closed doors. Now, I doubt very seriously he's building churches for cats and all the things that Kat does behind closed doors.
Yes.
But we do have a point of him behind closed doors with special counsel. So just play that audio,
yes.
and then I will come on TV and say, hey, you know what? I need to shut this guy's sharp, and I will do it. Play the article. Just let's hear this amazing behind closed. Here's the deal. The fact that a Democrat can't remember the number 6 should really let you know what time it is. June 5th. They've been saying January 6th. Like, that should be the last number a Democrat ever forgets. They should probably all have it tattooed somewhere on there. And he comes out there and says June 5th.
Yeah.
D-Day. Nope, it's 6, Briz. Like, that's all you need to know. He's not slipping. He's crashed and burned, and what we're seeing is the replacement crash test dummy that looks like him, but he is gone.
Yeah, I'm sure that many times behind closed doors he's referred to 9/11 as 7/11.
Yeah.
And then made a joke about Indian people.
How is it not treason to know that you know the president's unfit to serve and you're running an agenda underneath him?
Yeah.
How is that not breaking a law? You're defrauding the American people. Mm-hmm. That's something to think about.
And and you can't stand trial because he's unfit, so it doesn't matter.
Who said that?
Yeah. Up next, it's no shock they want to take Trump's Glock.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.